Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reservations. We're your hosts. I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Jeremy Blair.
Didn't I see you yesterday?
You did. And Rain, if I knew you were coming, I'd bake the cake.
Wait, wouldn't it be if I knew you were coming?
Yes, I know we're in your house, but I like the song. So, if I knew you were coming, I'd bake the cake.
We'll get copyrighted strike.
Oh, we got copyrighted.
It's all right. I'll just put like a giant like censor overall. Do the whole like YouTube thing with the monetization.
Yeah.
Even though we're not monetized.
We are not.
But anyway, welcome back, everyone. It may look a little weird, and that's because we kind of shifted things. On your end, it probably won't look weird at all, except that Jeremy now has a new switch above his head.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the kill switch. But it just turns the lights off.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I rearranged our room, and that means that we had to get moved. But I feel like it looks a little cleaner now, a little bit more.
I agree.
Put
It
together.
gives us more room for activities.
Yes.
And it just allows us to not be so cramped.
Yeah.
Especially when we're setting up the tripod and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, it looks rad. And, you know, the reason you did it is your new bookshelf for your movies, and that looks rad. So.
Oh, yeah. I was getting a little worried the more I was putting my movies back up there. I was like, oh my God, what if I run out of room?
Oh, no.
I just spent $165 on a new bookshelf, and I'm going to run out of room.
It's a lot of money for a bookshelf.
But then I didn't.
All right.
Yeah. I really like it. It looks a lot cleaner than my old bookshelf.
Yeah, it's not broken. So.
No. Although I was terrified I was going to break it while I was setting it up. Mm-hmm. Because the instructions weren't that helpful putting it together. But welcome back, everyone.
Right.
You know, before we get into the episode, I just want to say we are nearing the end of season 5.
Yep.
Already. It doesn't feel like we started season 5 that long ago.
No, even though this one is a supersized season. This season is longer than the other ones. Or I guess maybe not as long as season 1, but
longer than season 1.
Okay.
Well, actually longer than all of them.
Okay,
but,
great. So it is supersized.
Yeah.
We're pretty red. You have one more pick after this. I have one more after that, and then we have our end of series.
Yes, which is my pick.
And I haven't told you yet, but I'm planning a special bonus episode for the very end.
So. Wow, another bonus episode like we did back in season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3.
Yeah, planning a very special bonus. So
that'd be tight.
Be on the lookout for that. But we have weeks before that's even a thing. So it'll be summertime before we do that. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, so if you listened to last week, thank you for sticking around for 2 weeks, waiting on that giant episode.
For The Shining, yeah.
It wasn't as long as I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a full 2 hours.
Yeah. But, you know, we crammed a lot in there in such a short amount of time from what we talked about, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for me, I could have spoke for 2 hours straight about how Shelley Duvall sucks. So, got in another one this week. Bam! Got scoreboard.
It's going to be like that Family Guy bit. They're talking about you on the Family Man. What?
What? Yeah.
But instead, it'll be Shelley Duvall, her agent, be like, there's some like weird podcast talking about you. And she's like, oh, I don't care.
Like, what's a podcast?
I've been in the mountains since The Shining. Who are you?
I have been living underground, blast from the past style, since The Shining. So I don't know what's going on.
But yes, thank you for sticking around for that episode. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that was probably the most heavily edited episode that we've done.
Yeah.
Because it was across 2 different weeks.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I know for sure one person enjoyed it, so hopefully you guys did too.
Yes. But this week, I was actually very excited when you gave me another opportunity to pick between 2 movies.
Yeah.
Because even though we need to talk about Kevin was a bummer, I did enjoy the movie.
Right.
And I did talking about it.
Yep.
Because I loved Lynn Ramsey's style.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited to do this one. And I literally finished it like 2 hours ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because it wasn't as long as I was expecting.
No.
And we are talking today about Lynn Ramsey's You Were Never Really Here. It wasn't as long as I was expecting. I was expecting at least a good 2.5.
Yeah.
And then when I was like, oh, only an hour and a half?
So,
all right.
And this is another example of me having to wait I mean, months and months and months to see this movie. It was a similar situation with A Ghost Story, where no theaters released it here, and I was dying to see it. And so I was checking Amazon every week to see, okay, has a country released it on Blu-ray yet or something, DVD, whatever. I don't care. I need to see it.
And then you lucked out because it was an Amazon original.
Yes, and so I knew eventually it was going to be on Amazon, but they released it physically first. And so I immediately went to Best Buy, got my copy, and watched it, and it was completely blown away by it.
Yeah, it's I didn't finally notice it until the end, but there is very little dialogue.
Yeah.
And that just adds to the, I wouldn't say unsettling nature of the film, but it adds to the drama and the
suspense,
tension.
Yeah.
I especially really liked, and because I really want to talk about it, but I really liked how Lynn doesn't spoon feed us any information. She gives us bits and is like, you're going to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Why Joe is the way he is.
Right, yeah.
And I love that. I didn't want to be told through exposition why he is the way he is. I didn't want a 30-minute flashback sequence.
Right, yeah, no.
I really loved how she's like, a little bit here, a little bit here.
Yeah.
And you're going to piece it together.
Eventually. Exactly like We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Yeah.
We're going to piece it all together eventually. Just sit back and pay attention.
Yeah. So where do you want to start, dude? 'Cause
Well,
I'm really jazzed to talk about this.
So we can start with the very beginning. So that's lame, but it's true. We're going to start with the very beginning. And besides the underwater narration with the counting, right, which is the girl, right? We begin at the end of one of his jobs, right?
Right.
He just finished. And I love how we get a sense of his routine and the things he uses by him cleaning up, right?
Right.
And so, of course, we start with him with the bag over his head, which is something that he does often. I meant to look up why people do that because I've seen it in more than one place. I think it's to get a sense of very mild and quick euphoria while you're depriving yourself of oxygen and just to feel something, right? But he does this more than once.
Yeah, because we'll learn that Joe is almost desensitized, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. And, the fact that he's, struggling with, PTSD and his injury and all that stuff. So, and there's very real reasons why he does what he does now because of what happened. Anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Him cleaning up, I love this sequence of him putting all the stuff on the bed, making sure it's all there, then putting it in the trash bag, burning the picture, very sloppily cleaning the hammer. The hammer he doesn't clean all the way, right?
Right.
Which I thought was funny. But he also had it soaking, so it was probably soaking in bleach or something. And
well, and and it almost kind of paints us as, what did he just do?
Right.
Because we don't know what he does yet.
Right.
And
it has something to do with some girl, and someone died, right? Or at least is very hurt. Right.
And so you don't know, did he hurt a little girl? What did he do? And
he throws all of it away, so he doesn't keep anything.
Yeah.
Which later we find out he starts fresh every time. He doesn't reuse anything.
Which is actually pretty smart.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, so I love the way Lynn Ramsey paints this picture of this routine and order in what he does. And not only that, but his strict routine also leads him to be overly cautious. Right. Because when he's done, when he goes to the airport, calls the guy on the payphone, which is the classic, it's done, right?
Right.
Which, no matter how many times I hear it, it's still super badass. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just so cool. So,
Are you wanting a phone call like that someday?
yeah, I think it'd be really neat.
You're at work and then you hear, it's done.
Oh, I forgot I did that. Anyway, or a text or whatever. So then he goes to his place, right?
From Cincinnati back to New York.
And sees this kid, right, on a balcony in another building. And it turns out he knows this kid, sort of. He works at this local grocery store where he uses a third party to exchange money. Right. Again, he's overly cautious about everything. So he does not want to get caught. And to really nail that into the coffin is he notices that kid saw him, and he's like, did he tell you where he saw me? And he goes, man, he didn't mean to. He goes, we're done.
Yeah.
I can never use you again. Bye. Right?
Yeah. Which is also kind of badass.
Yeah,
too.
it is.
Yeah. That he's like,
he does a lot of badass things. I didn't even mention he basically gives that mugger brain damage with one headbutt.
Headbutt, yeah.
Yeah. And, at first, you think that maybe he's part of what just happened in the hotel, but then you're like, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just
retroactively thinking about it, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's just some random dude.
Messed with the wrong guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so he's like, that guy's dead. So he killed that guy.
Well, I mean, you see him spit up blood after he walks away. Lynn stays on that mugger, and you just see him just...
Yeah, and vomit and, spit up blood, yeah. Because he hit him that hard, right? He probably has a concussion.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, he is now finished with this job, and before he goes to receive his next assignment from the main guy who gives him assignments, we find out that he lives with his mom.
Yeah.
A very well-known actress. You haven't gotten there yet, but she has a very small part in Eraserhead.
Oh, okay. Well, see, you may be upset with me, but I did recognize her.
Okay.
I don't know if our listener out there likes Justin Timberlake, but she is in his music video for Mirrors, which is a song he wrote not only for his wife, but for his grandparents, and she plays a version of, like, his grandmother.
Got it.
But yeah, I was like, I know what that is. I was like, oh yeah.
I've seen Mirrors so many times. I'm watching it now. Yeah.
I'm gonna pause this movie.
Yeah. Oh, I was already watching it.
But yeah, I was like, that's so, because she seemed, because she has no lines in the music video, but she does a lot of physical acting. So I really was super jazzed. I was like, cool. Now I get to see what kind of an actress she really is.
And she's great.
Yeah, she is
I'm
phenomenal.
And still alive, because I was like, is she dead? Because she's old. So,
yes.
she's actually younger than my grandparents.
She looks way older than Ellen Burstyn.
Yes. And I believe they're around the same age.
Yes. But yeah.
So she's fantastic. The dynamic is sort of fun. It reminded me of you and your mom. Because, when she's in the bathroom and there's water all over the floor, goes, what the fuck are you fucking around for? I was like, oh, I've heard you talk that way to your mom.
Well, and something I want to talk about with their relationship is, Lynn, it kind of made me feel, not exactly, but a little bit reminiscent of, we need to talk about Kevin, a relationship between a mother and a son.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we need to talk about Kevin as a very volatile relationship.
Right. And this one is a very loving relationship.
Yes.
This is the opposite.
Joe does love his mom. Yeah, you can tell he gets frustrated with her because it definitely seems like she has some dementia.
And I do believe that it's established he makes enough money that he doesn't have to live there. Right.
Right.
And so I think that he is there to take care of her. She, I believe her arm was really broken. If not, that's the best hand makeup I've ever seen, because her fingers were so swollen. Yeah. So, she's frail, There are stairs in the house, which when you get to a certain age is dangerous. And so he's there just to make sure she's okay and gives her, the company that she needs. And right. And they seem to have a good relationship.
Well, and and as we learn through these little pieces of flashback, it definitely seemed the abusive relationship of his father strengthened their relationship.
Yes.
So,
and I don't know if you noticed, but his father had a ball peen hammer.
Yeah.
In one of the one of the flashbacks.
Well, because Lynn directly was like, "Yeah, hey, look,
that's
what he's got. He uses one.
That's why he uses one."
Yeah.
Okay. So,
excuse me, everyone.
Here's something I absolutely love about what Lynn Ramsey does is, and don't worry, we're getting to him receiving his next assignment, but to make what I'm about to say make sense, let's talk about him exiting the hotel. Mm-hmm. So when he is exiting the hotel, the camera is him as POV first.
Yes.
And it backs up when it sees the police cars, right? Which I love. I thought that is so cool. And then, of course, it's not a direct POV.
Yeah, because then we're seeing right over his shoulder.
Right. And I love it. And him even exiting his hotel room where he opens
hears
the door.
Footsteps and he's like,
Here's someone? Nope. And then, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
So when he's receiving his assignment and he's getting a handful of jelly beans, the guy's talking, right? And what he's saying is important. But we still hear Joe go, I found a green one, right? We still hear it. So this overlapping dialogue means that not only do we need to pay attention to what that guy's saying, but also we're not going to get rid of we as the audience or Joe, right?
Right.
So when he even whispers, no green ones? I like green ones, right? Yeah. While he's talking, right? And then when he finds it, right? I found a green one.
And then he smushes it like a psychopath.
I do love the close-ups of that, of him just squishing jelly beans, because I've done that. So, because it's super fun, because I don't know, it's just fun.
Well, and then, and then Lynn kind of takes us back because you hear him go, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost
as, he's in his own world, but he is still paying attention.
Yes. It's dumb example. It's very reminiscent of Baby Driver and how he's listening to music, but he's also listening, right?
I thought you liked Baby Driver.
I do like Baby Driver. I just think it's a dumb example for this movie. So, but right. And I love that. I love that, not only is
he focused on his jelly beans, but he's still focusing on the assignment.
Right. And when he meets with the father of the missing girl, which it turns out that's what he does for a living. He rescues kidnapped girls.
Yeah, so the whole time we still don't know.
I would assume kidnapped children just in general.
I think so, because
but it just turns out these were girls so far. Right?
I believe so, yeah.
And the reason it's girls is very important because of the flashback, right?
Yes.
One of the flashbacks. Which, again, I love how Ramsey does that also. Hold on. We'll get there. So now that he has this assignment, now that he's met with the father and
a senator.
Yes. And this senator is, which, again, it makes me love Joe even more that, anytime he asks him a question, Joe pauses for so long, and he goes, are you brutal?
John said you were brutal.
Yeah, John said you were brutal.
I can be.
And again, it's this sort of, he's so intense, but it also plays to that idea that you were talking about, that he is sort of desensitized to this.
Yeah.
So he's like, just tell me what to do. Where do I go?
Yeah.
Right.
Whose ass do I need to beat?
Yeah. They're going to die. So
yeah.
Just let me,
Just tell me where to go, what time.
And now we get to possibly my favorite sequence in the film, which is
him shopping?
Yeah, him preparing. So now he's preparing for a new job. And the look on his face that Ramsey captures when he finds the ball peen hammer, he smiles a little bit. And I can't get enough of that.
Especially because what's funny is, the beginning sets up that he uses a more traditional ball peen hammer with the wooden handle. And she has it right next to like more of a modern one, and that's the one he goes with.
Yeah,
because he's like, I like that.
I like this one. You know,
this one's got a grip. Yeah,
and it sort of implies that he enjoys what he does. It's this. And Haley told me I was going to say this word so much, and I'm going to try not to. We'll keep a count at the bottom if we need to.
Oh yes.
But it's the sort of catharsis that he gets from, beating these men senseless with a hammer, right? And a similar weapon his father would use.
Yes.
Which, again, is another type of that word. So...
no, let's just do it, man.
Catharsis. So, I think this should be the underlying theme of this episode.
This is, now that you say it, it is a very cathartic film.
That counts, by the way. The word and its derivatives count, so we'll keep a count. That's 3. So that's why I believe that's why he smiles when he sees the hammer. Not only is it new and shiny, but it's also, the part of the job that he, I don't know if likes is the word, but finds release from. Yes,
because it's, I'm not a psychology major or anything, but I do know it's this part of someone who has been abused by a similar object. He finds joy using the same thing to inflict pain onto someone else.
Yeah, it's almost like if someone maybe in a house fire burned their arm and it has, like he had to have skin grafts or something.
Right.
That's the most pain he's ever felt. Therefore, all he could imagine his worst enemy feeling is the worst pain he's ever felt, which is fire, right? So he would most likely burn someone, right?
Right.
In this case, he knows exactly what a ball-peen hammer feels like, more than likely. Or at least he's seen what it can do.
Yeah.
And so to him, that's the worst thing that he could do to someone. It's the worst thing he's seen done.
Well, see, and it's... not really a sidebar, but I do want to mention it is such an interesting choice for a weapon, a ball-peen hammer. I mean, in horror and suspense movies, we've seen hammers get used as weapons, but never a ball-peen hammer.
No, I think it's a really neat idea, and also it's so different than the book. The book has him, wearing rubber gloves and using all these like weird machines and apparatuses, and Ramsey was like, no. And her and Joaquin talked about it a lot, saying that, I think we need to strip it down to its bare bones and make it as authentic as possible. Because it doesn't seem so much like Dexter, right?
Oh yeah, because this is 2017.
Yeah.
So Dexter was over by that.
Well,
point.
yeah, but I mean,
still,
that was just an example. They didn't say Dexter.
Well, yeah, but still, by that point, people have seen.
Right, and I wouldn't even consider him a serial killer, so it wouldn't be like. It wouldn't be that sort of a thing, right? The book, he is more like that, but
more of a methodical serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so I love the choice to just bare bones it. Right?
Yeah. And if anyone doesn't know what a ball-peen hammer is, it has a hammer, like a normal hammer does.
Hopefully you saw the movie.
But rather than a 2-pronged hook,
which is a claw hammer,
it has a rounded end, more for.
Don't ask. I don't know what a ball-peen hammer is for.
I think it's like more for like not necessarily woodwork.
Thank God,
because because I know you use the rounded part on the back for things that an actual the hammer can't do. So you use that part.
Doesn't matter. So yeah, it's got a little metal
it's hardcore is what it is.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure he uses both sides.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Anyway.
So here's where we get to the action, right?
Yeah.
This is, well, I'll just go ahead and say it. This is the only time we're really shown violence.
Yes.
In the whole movie. This is it. And it's not how you would picture this violence being shown, right? This is why my dad doesn't like this movie.
Oh, okay.
Because when I showed it to him, I was like, bro, like, he uses a fucking ball-bearing hammer, like, it's so rad. And then after it was over, he was like, where was the violence, right? And so he was expecting...
Like, full on, like,
Yes.
we're going to see the hammer hit the face.
Like, see the skull cave in. He was thinking that, right? But instead, we got this, which in the most violent scenes we get, most of it is...
Done, really.
Well, most of it in this scene in particular...
Oh, it's kind of hidden a little bit.
Yeah, and it's no sound. Mm-hmm. Well, there's the music, but there's no sound.
There's no sound of the hammer hitting
and
anyone.
It's night vision cameras.
Oh,
so it's the security tapes that we're seeing.
Which I thought was so cool.
I did too.
So wait, it's a sidebar. So you said you cleansed your dad's... Last week you said you cleansed your dad's pallet with house Jack built. So I'm assuming then that means you showed him the uncut version.
Yes.
Where, like, when he kills those kids.
Yes.
And
So-
your dad was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, thank God. You know... well, I was like, what could I show him that would make up for no violence? The most violence.
The most violent film? Oh, I mean, that's not the most violent, but...
No, but I mean...
most graphic violence.
Hitting Uma Thurman, you know, with the jack and her skull caving in, like, I was like, that'll make him feel better. Because, you know, like, we didn't get that in this one.
Right.
Right? I cannot wait to talk about... Anyway, doesn't matter. So, we'll get there because it's at the end. So...
Okay. So, yeah. I really dug that that we see this through the lens of security cameras. You know, it's very I'm trying to think of... It's almost kind of like what Ron Howard sort of did with Angels and Demons, when we get the reveal that Ewan McGregor's been behind it all. And we see it through...
Spoilers for Angels.
We see it through the security camera, but then, you know, Ron takes us into the actual scene. As we're this way, we don't. It's all the security camera.
Yes, all the violence is on security camera.
Which I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And I loved it juxtaposed with the music that's playing in the house. And, you know, it's just rad. You know, the audience is now sort of removed from the violence.
Right.
Because we're not in the middle of it. It's the opposite of like when Paul Greengrass puts us in the middle of the fight scenes in Born Ultimatum. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's the exact opposite. It's no longer intimate. Now we are just completely removed from all of it. Right? We are just bystanders. So... once he rescues the girl,
he rescues Nina.
maybe kills that other girl, that other lady. I don't know, because she was for sure in on it.
Or at least an accomplice.
Yeah.
And we don't know what happens to her. We just hear him go like, "Hey, no, turn around.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Don't
Give me your phone."
Don't move. Right.
He either for sure killed her or scared her enough.
Well, when he drags that guy out of the room, and then that little girl walks out, you know, you're like, oh.
Oh yeah,
right?
because this was something that was a little unnerving for me, because Lynn Ramsey really shows the trauma of abuse.
Yes, because these
little girls
they're
are
so traumatized that they're just sort of in a daze, right? Or they were drugged. Either way.
Either or, you know, and you know, Nina has come up with a way for her to almost cope with it.
Escape.
Which is counting down from, I'm assuming, 50.
We assume.
She counts down from 50, and it's...
And then as soon as she gets to 1, she opens her eyes. And then... But before that, we're seeing Joe. Again, we're POV with Joe, sort of. And putting up the picture.
And he's trying to wake her up.
Making sure it's her. Okay, it is. Let's go.
Like, I'm Joe. I'm here to help. Like, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Even when he puts her in the car, she is still in that mindset that, you know, oh, this man has me. I'm his now. You know, and he's just like, get off me.
Oh yeah, yeah. When
you know,
yeah, because it, you know, and Lynn Ramsey also shows how, you know, how these girls think around older men. Like, so she goes in for a hug, and he thinks, oh, okay, she's just hugging me. It's okay.
Right. She's
And then she
excited
starts
to be out of there.
to kiss him, and he's like, "Oh no!
You don't have to do that.
You know,
Sit down.
just sit down."
Right. And I love that also Joe snacks like a child. And so he has all of these snacks
Yeah.
and sodas, right?
I've got water, got sodas.
Yeah, he's got his grape soda. Oh, that's so gross. I do not like grape soda.
I don't think I've had it in years.
But I think here's where the movie gets insane is he was set up.
Yes.
Dude, when I think it's a bellhop.
It's like the front desk clerk.
Yeah. When Joe opens the door and that front desk clerk is there and he gets shot in the head.
Oh, dude.
Oh, man.
Well, because we get that Joe was set up right before that because Nina's watching the news and they're talking about how her dad committed suicide. And Joe sits up and like, I literally just spoke with him.
Because that's not her dad. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Right? It's like, uh-oh. Right. And then what Ramsey does is, I don't even think there's a music cue when the front desk guy gets shot.
No. He just...
Which is so rad.
Just gets shot and then that's it.
Shot and we are... and now we got to figure out what the hell's going on.
Right.
And Joe is, of course, an animal. And I love that he chose a hotel with a mirror on the ceiling. But I love how Ramsey uses it
to show us what's about to happen.
So we can see the action without, sort of a traditional, setup for the camera.
Right.
Which, again, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get the camera out of the mirror. I think it's so super cool. I've seen it. We've talked about it.
We've talked about it.
We've seen it in so many things, and we're just like, how do they do it?
Yeah, I'll say it again, in Contact with Zemeckis' reverse mirror shot of that little girl, and then we're like, oh, she's running to the mirror.
Yeah.
Like,
how do you do it?
How do you do it? Now, I did miss him getting shot in the face, though.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that's what had happened until he calls John. He was like, they shot me in the fucking face.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
Right, and then he yanks his tooth out because it obviously broke.
Yeah.
Right when he got shot, and so he's got to yank it out of there, and so
because I'm assuming he probably spit the bullet out or something.
Something I don't even know where the bullet went. It might have been a clean through and through.
But we don't see the other side of. Well, no, we do see the other side of his face. The other side of his face looks fine.
Yeah.
And the bullet wound's right about here, near his cheekbone.
Yeah.
So. And he never gets it sutured.
Either way, it's gross.
Yeah.
But because he's an animal, right?
Yeah.
And so now we start to realize that these guys know who Joe is, right?
Right.
These guys targeted Joe specifically because he goes to
John's because John's not answering the phone.
And John has been tortured first because his hands are
fucked up,
shredded.
Yeah.
Right? And so he's dead. And then, of course, the heartbreaking thing is they killed his mom.
Dude, when I was like, don't tell me they killed his mom. Because then Joe finds out that they looked through the third-party people and found Angel. And
so Angel's gone. And I liked how they filmed that, too, which is he's leaving the message while they're about to die, right?
And then
execution style.
Right. But yeah, I was like, oh, fuck, don't tell me they killed his mom.
Yeah.
And he does something really smart. He doesn't immediately go through the door. He climbs, I'm assuming climbs up the back onto the roof and then gets onto the awning. No, maybe not awning, that's not the right word, but where he can look into his mom's room.
Yeah.
And his reaction was like, they fucking killed her.
Yeah.
Because he immediately doesn't break down, but he turns his face, and you're like, oh, no.
And when the guys are still there in the house, right? So again, Ramsey's not going to show us the violence, and so we are just stuck on Joe. And when he fires those shots, we don't even see the guys at first, right?
Yeah.
He's just firing into a room for some reason, and it turns out he just clipped the two guys.
Yeah, which dude, and you know, and we get some of the flashback of his abuse as a kid.
Yeah.
He learned how to be very quiet with his steps, and just bam, bam. They don't even know he's there.
No, which is so again, he's incredible. And before that, I think we get the full experience of that girl in the sand. Where he gave her a candy bar. He's in...
we're assuming probably Afghanistan.
Maybe Desert Storm. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he gave that girl a candy bar, and this kid shot her for it.
Yeah.
This other kid. And which is, again, I don't know if... I know you saw it. I don't know if you guys saw Cherry. There's another very similar thing that happens in that movie, too.
Yeah, he gives the little girl an MRE, and
they beat her up for it.
Yeah.
Right. So people
for sure a future episode. I'd love to break down
People really
Cherry.
gotta quit doing that.
Yeah.
Don't single someone out. If you don't have enough for all the kids, don't give them anything.
If you don't have enough for the class,
right,
don't bring gum.
So we get sort of why he chose this line of work
to protect these little girls.
Yeah.
And
my pen.
Why do you need a pen?
Because I remembered an oops, I forgot. I need to write it down. Oh, no, because I have it written down somewhere. That's fine. Thank God. No, because I have it written down. I haven't even looked at my notes.
But yeah, so he gets the two guys, kills the first one. Well, one of the guys dies immediately. The other one is suffering and trying to get out. And then that's when you kind of get an idea of what's going on, because the guy who's still alive has a little American flag on his pin, which means he's an agent of some sorts. And I was expecting Joe to kill him immediately, but then I was like, wait, we need answers.
Right.
And Joe asked the most important question first. Who killed my mom? Was it him or was it you?
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, that guy knows if he answers, he's fucked. But then Joe, still wanting to get answers, gives him I'm assuming an ibuprofen.
Yeah.
So he can get more answers out of him before he dies. And that was really intense. And something that I really liked, because, you know, most movies like this where someone's trying to get answers out of someone, you know, the person giving the answers, it's very hard pressed. They don't want to give up the answers. But this guy, I guess, knowing he's going to die, might as well just tell you everything.
And I think Joe realizes at some level they have similar jobs, right? And so he's, again, very angry, but, you know, he's like, you know, why torture you? You know,
you're going to die anyway.
And it was Joaquin Phoenix's idea to start singing and to start singing, right? That was improv.
I meant to read up on more trivia, but that was the only bit of trivia I read. But that scene, and it's so great, because what I really loved about it too is that the agent holds his hand.
Yeah.
And Joe squeezes his hand back because Joe knows he is about to die.
Yeah.
So it's like, might as well just at least be there for you as a fellow human being. Right. Here you go.
Which is so odd, because both of them would probably be considered subhuman by what they do for a living, right?
Right. And it almost kind of humanizes Joe just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit. He's there for another human being. And I love Lynn does the, I wouldn't say stereotypical shot of the light leaving someone's eyes, but she does it in a really cool way where it's more over the brow. Yeah. Not a direct on the eye. And I just...
Yeah, Ramsey's going to find, you know, if she needs to do something sort of traditional for storytelling purposes, she'll find a cool way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And then he... That part was rough for me. And then he goes and gets his mom.
And now it's... You would think movie's over, because now he is going to bury her at the lake, in the lake, and he's going to go with her, right?
Right.
He's got rocks in his pockets, which is Virginia Woolf style, and Then he gets flashes of the girl.
Of Nina.
Of Nina. And he realizes he's still...
Job's not over.
Job's not over. I can still do this, right?
Yeah, because he learns that who set him up was the governor.
Yeah.
Which you may have to backtrack just a little bit for me, because I thought that was her dad who gave him the job.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think when they find out, or they say that the father has killed himself. I think he's still at the house, that guy, and that's the guy that she kills. Spoilers.
Well, that's Governor Williams. She kills the governor.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe.
See how I interpret it, and
because then we get those flashes of him in that bed, right? The father in the bed,
right. The only thing I can attribute it to is that maybe the father, if that really was her dad, maybe he was also abusing her.
Yes, I think that's either exactly what happened, or not her father hired him. Right. To set him up.
Yeah, because
either way would make sense to me.
Yeah, because the agent says, because he's like, who killed her dad? And he was like, well, he wanted out. And he was like, all I know is there was just a lot of crying and he wanted out. So the only thing I can attribute it to, my theory was he did really meet with her dad. He wanted out. And since his daughter was the governor's favorite, which made it all the more satisfying when we saw him dead. I was like, yeah, fuck you, dude. He thought maybe if Joe can get my daughter out, me and her can go into hiding.
Yeah.
But since you're that far deep and the governor is involved, you're not getting out.
No.
That's what I attributed to.
You're probably right. I guess I just thought it'd be cool if that wasn't her dad.
Well, but that also would make sense. That maybe maybe the dad was planning on it, and they were like, let's get to him first.
Yeah.
And then we'll just.
Yeah. Either way works.
Domino effect.
Either way works for me. Again, like I love this movie very much, but for me, it's hard to connect all the dots, especially the first time. There's no way I did it the first time.
Yeah.
This time, I was better, and I'd seen it before, but I guess before this also. But I just a lot of times I just watch it for certain things. And anyway, doesn't matter. I'm making excuses. I didn't get it right. That's fine. So
then Joe starts kind of doing what he does when he's on a job. He's surveying, and he's staking out the governor's re-election office, who I don't know the actor's name, who's playing Governor Williams, but he always plays a scumbag, and he's really good at it. I think I've seen him in like one movie where he is like the nice guy, but he's still sort of an asshole.
Right.
But yeah, when I saw him, I was like, oh, of course that motherfucker is the bad guy. I can't think of his name.
I can't either.
But I loved the tracking shot. Again, POV back on Joe, of him following them through the country. And
then once we get to the house.
Yeah.
So this is where Dad is the most frustrated.
Oh, yeah, because we see no violence.
Zero. We are always there right after it happened.
Yeah, right after Joe kills the guards.
And that's very important because of what happens when he finally gets to Nina. Or where Nina would have been.
Yes, in her room.
Right. He gets there, and the governor's already dead. And, okay. What Ramsey has done so far for us is deprived us of the violence, of the catharsis. Okay? She is depriving us of the revenge that we are seeking.
For Joe's mom.
Right. And for the girl. Right? And for Nina. So when Joe gets to the governor and he's already dead, he breaks down. He didn't get to do it. Right? Which is important to him for the same reason he asked the guy, which one of you killed my mom? Right?
Right.
He wants to know which one of them it was, Therefore, he gets sort of this, this backtrack of this relief.
Right.
But when he doesn't get to kill the governor, we completely understand how he's feeling because we didn't get our violence.
Right.
He doesn't get his either. And so the audience is supposed to really identify and sympathize with Joe.
Well, especially because he starts to quote his father, who we've heard throughout the film, in this really cool, distorted voiceover, which I really liked. Almost makes him seem very demonic.
Yeah.
And Joe, yeah. And, he does the typical thing when you are, breaking down and sobbing. The only thing he can latch onto is just
his clothes.
He's got to get a shirt off,
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch because he's not, I wouldn't say doing it correctly, because it's the only way he knows. Just get it off of him.
He just can't handle how he's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like if someone were to say, all right, we're about to race each other, right? We're about to sprint. Ready, set, wait, hold on. Right? And you go, oh, come on, man. It's that feeling. He's like, I don't get to. Right?
Yeah.
It's not only is it emotionally painful, but also physically for him because he's having to stop. Right? Mm-hmm. And it's, of course, it's horrible, to watch him break down. And even though what he was going to do is awful. But it isn't, obviously, because he's a bad guy or whatever.
Because Joe is our anti-hero.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get these really cool flashes of his mom and then his dad, who we haven't seen his face, which I loved too. It kind of reminded me just a little bit of season 1 of Daredevil, when we get a lot of Kingpin's backstory with his abusive father. That's what it kind of made me think of, which I really, really dug. And then he finds Nina, who, again, as we were kind of talking about, is kind of off in her own little world, still in shock of what she's done, eating, I'm assuming, the food that was prepared for her and the governor anyway. And her hands are just covered in blood, but she can't stop eating.
And she still has the straight razor with her. And so I think a little bit of why Joe is so upset, not only does he doesn't get to kill the governor, but Nina had to, right? So not only did he not get his release, but
now he's
almost like he feels like he's too late, and she is now more corrupted and lost more of her innocence, and that's not what he wants. He wanted to take her away from all of it.
Right. Yeah, like when he beats one of the guys when he first rescues her, he tells her, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Because, Joe is already pretty fucked up, having a very abusive childhood, and then being a veteran. He has PTSD, so he's even more fucked up.
And then there's another flashback, of course, of the people in the cargo.
I guess when he was, I guess he worked for the FBI at one point, because the hat said FBI.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Very, very quick flash of him with no beard, too.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's Joaquin.
That's Joaquin. Yeah. And so, yeah, for sure, I think it was, I like that he feels that he's too late to save her soul.
Right.
And she kind of snaps out of it a little bit because she tells him it's okay, even though he knows, like, it's not okay, though.
And then we get to maybe my favorite thing about this movie, and it's very short-lived, and I wish the movie had ended this way, is when they're at the diner.
Oh, yeah.
And he shoots himself.
Yeah,
and no one reacts, and people are covered in blood, right? It's very surreal.
And it connect, because for me, at least, it ties back into the title of the movie. You were never really here.
Right. And to me, I just love how after he shoots himself and falls on the table, Ramsey increases the volume of everything else And so we get this, we're now overly saturated with the normalcy of what's going on around him. And I'm not quite sure how to interpret it yet. I think about it a lot. And every once in a while, I'll think about it just unsolicited. I'll just think,
what did she mean?
What did she mean by that? Because if the movie had ended right there, I would have lost my mind. I would have been so happy because then it would have been open-ended, right?
Right.
And so...
But the real ending is Joe, I guess, had...
It was sort of either a dream or a wishful thinking, right?
Yeah, because Nina comes back to the table. And...
You know what it might have been?
What?
It might have been his sort of...
His catharsis?
So, his being that he kills himself, he's out of the picture, and no one's affected by it. Meaning he doesn't have to worry about anyone being sad for him anymore. No one has to worry about him not being there because no one gives a shit, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like I can completely disappear and it doesn't matter, and that's okay, right?
Right.
It might be an interpretation. Again, I love it so much that, this could be its own episode, is that very short few minute scene.
Well, I for sure thought, I was like, oh shit, he just killed himself. But then when I noticed, no one's really reacting. And even Ashley kind of came into the movie late, but she was like, no one's reacting.
And that girl's got blood all over her.
Oh yeah, right? The waitress is just covered.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, here's your check whenever you're ready.
And no one's acknowledging that he has shot himself, and no one's acknowledging the blood, and no one's acknowledging he's dead. I was in heaven. I love that.
But then
Nina wakes him up.
And Nina's
or at least gets him up.
Like, Joe, wake up. And it ends almost sort of on I interpret it as sort of a somber note, that Nina's like, because they don't know what to do now.
Right.
Because,
what is there to do now?
What is there to do, and all Nina says is, let's go. It's a beautiful day. And Joe's like, it is a beautiful day.
And then the cut to the credits I love because
then we're back in the diner.
And they're not there, right? It's their empty table. And it's almost like they were never really there, right? Yeah. If they had wiped the table clean, that would have been great. I would have really liked that. And then the movie's over.
And the movie's over. I actually fast forwarded a little bit through the credits. I was like, is there any little bits of information I need to know? No. Now, Lynn... No, I should have known that from We Need to Talk About Kevin, that Lynn Ramsey...
It's done. It's over.
It's done. Movie's over. Enjoy your night.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I loved it. Of course, I love Joaquin Phoenix. We will for sure do an episode of Joker.
Okay.
That one will probably be like a 4-hour long episode. I really love it that he's so stoic in this film, where he doesn't talk a lot, and when he does, it's very quiet.
Yeah, even when he is subduing the kid that works the front or whatever at that horrible place.
Yeah.
Even then, when he's getting angry with him, he's not yelling. Right. Yeah. The only time he yells is when he's waiting on that guy to show up.
Don't fucking make me late.
Oh, and
hits him.
Oh. That guy's dead.
Oh, for sure.
It's like
when Batman rolls up in the Batmobile. For sure, whoever he hit in the Batmobile is dead.
Yeah, that guy's dead. Yeah.
The guy that Robert Pattinson kills in the trailer. Oh, dude, that guy's dead, or at least has no teeth anymore.
Like that guy. Oh, that guy died.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, man. I think that's the most angry we see Joe the entire movie.
Well, and it's because that guy wasn't nice either. He's like, man, chill the fuck out.
Chill the fuck out. Because Joe's like, I've been waiting 20 minutes.
Like, chill the fuck out, man. It's fine. And then he gets him what he needs and then just beats the shit out of him and goes, don't make me wait, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And so it's, again, Joe has a very strict, routine, right? And he can't get off of that routine. And
it's almost kind of attributed to being in, I'm assuming, the military.
Yeah.
It's instilled in him routine. And Joaquin does such a great job. I mean, if anyone needs any further evidence how fantastic of an actor he is, I mean, seriously, watch Joker.
Joker, this one is obviously amazing.
I mean, I mean, I'm not a big Johnny Cash fan, but Walk the Line is phenomenal.
Walk the Line is great.
I mean, if you need the only one that gets a pass is Gladiator. That's that.
I do kind of like Gladiator.
Oh no, I love Gladiator.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's phenomenal. We could talk for hours about how much I love Russell Crowe and Gladiator, but Joaquin is not my highlight of that movie.
No, he's not the highlight.
But everything else Joaquin has done is phenomenal, and this, I think he plays the stoic.
There's a little nod to his other film, We Own the Night.
With Marky Wahlberg.
Yeah, so he says this the rendezvous place that he suggests is the name of the nightclub he owns in We Own the Night.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that's, I mean, I don't know if Ramsey did that on purpose, but it's part of the trivia, so.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Or if she just told Joaquin, like, you know, like tell him like a time and place, and he's like, got you.
Dude, I was in this movie once.
Hey, remember that movie that I did with Mark Wahlberg a while back?
No one fucking remembers that movie.
I totally nailed Aba Mendez. No.
I have 2 oops I forgots.
Okay, 2 oopsies.
I have 2. 1.
Okay.
The cab driver says the name of the movie.
Yeah, that was so cool. Because
he's singing the song, so I would assume it's lyrics to a song.
Well, and I love how
the title shows up because I am obsessed with it.
Well, hang on. So I love the cab driver singing, but to us, the audience, in the cab, he's singing with no beat, no song, no nothing, but the singing is matching the score.
Yeah.
In a really nice kind of melding, and then the audio cuts out, and we see his mouth say, "You were never really here."
And the title, each word comes and goes as he says them, right? I made Haley, she was crocheting, I made Haley go, "Hey, knock that off, look at this.
Hey, what?
This is so cool," right?
You pulled a Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It was DiCaprio, but yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yes,
I'm so sorry, Leo.
I did. I was like, "Hey, watch this. This is so cool." Right? And of course, I'm nerding out over this really cool piece of filmmaking. And of course, she's like, "Oh, yeah, that was cool."
Well, because then as soon as he says, really here, we hear his singing again.
Yeah.
It's so
I
cool.
know. It's absolutely brilliant. The other one is the "Can you take a picture of us?"
Oh, yeah.
Where he is seeing them, where I know and you know they're laughing and smiling, but there's a moment there where he's picturing them screaming, right? And again, no sound, right? I think there might be music, like light music, or the score or whatever. And then when it's just her face,
oh man,
I mean, it's insane. I love it so much. And again, it's part of his trauma.
Yeah,
right?
and all I could think about is probably what these girls were thinking. Like, is he okay? Like, because he's just standing there, and you could tell something's wrong on his face.
Yeah.
So all I can imagine, these girls like.
But it also could be, like in some films where they're talking to someone that doesn't exist. That no one is acknowledging that they're talking because it's all in their head, right?
Right.
I'm almost thinking that might be it, that he is experiencing this sort of traumatic hallucination and putting the camera down and staring, but he may not really be staring
and just kind of like, oh, here you go.
Right, exactly. He might have just taken the picture. Here you go. But of course, in his head, that's going 200 miles an hour. That he might be experiencing all of this in a very short amount of time, which could be true. I don't know. I just love that sequence.
Oh yeah.
And I can't believe I forgot to talk about it.
Yeah, I love how Lynn Ramsey shows his trauma and how he tries to deal with it. Like when he's at the sauna and he's trying to get the voices to stop. And he's just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And the playing with the knife while his mom's in the bathroom.
Yeah, I told Haley that was something I would do, and she goes, "Yeah, that's why your pinky's like that." So when he like and like play like pretending it's falling into his mouth and dropping it on the floor, moving his foot, that's just fun, you know. And that's why my pinky's like this. But I did love that they didn't cover his tattoo. That's Joaquin's
the
real
circle.
It's it's a Ouroboros. Actually, shout out to our predestination episode. It's a Ouroboros.
Oh.
It's the snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, which he does it forever
and ever.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it was so good. I loved that there was just very little dialogue, that Joaquin was really getting to showcase his physical acting, because he does a lot of facial acting and how he carries himself. And my man's got a dope beard too.
He does. Yeah, I mentioned that. I didn't write it down. I should have, but I was like, God, I love that beard.
And man, I just want to talk, like, how did he deal with the fact that he had a bullet hole in his cheek?
Yeah.
And all we see him do is put like peroxide on it, and that's it. No, he doesn't go get it sutured up.
Because he's super badass, you know?
Which, I mean, I understand. Like, I was actually thinking...
And also, he doesn't have time.
Well, and I was also thinking realistically, if he did go to the hospital to have them suture it, they'd be like, what happened?
What happened here?
And he can't be like, oh, well, I got shot. Because then the cops get involved.
Right.
And since this is already dealing with the governor, you know, because the guy he fights in the hotel is a cop.
Right, yeah.
More than likely a corrupted cop.
Of course.
Because there's always, you know. And then same thing with his mother's burial. He can't actually have a real burial for her.
And I don't think that, no matter what, I don't think he ever would have. I don't know. Something to me said this was always the plan.
That
right?
She was going to get buried at the lake.
Yeah, but I don't know. And, you know, of course, overreaching, overanalyzing.
That's what we do here.
It almost makes me feel like, what if her and his dad had side-by-side burial plots? And he's like, no. You know what I mean? It almost makes me think about stuff like that. You know?
You're not going to be buried
like,
next to him.
I won't let that happen, right? Because if he would have gone the traditional route, if they, you know, people that age in that generation planned out burial plots already. So my grandparents do, my mom does, right? Like they already know, they already have that set up, right? Me, no. I'm going to be cremated, so that's fine. Or just thrown in a ditch. I don't care, right? I don't think our generation cares about stuff like that, but theirs do. And so that almost makes me think maybe that's why the burial at the lake.
But, I mean, that makes sense, because it is also more intimate, you know, because he has to release her, which I love the shot underwater. I was like, I wonder how long Joaquin had to be underwater, because I'm sure they had to, you know, like they did with...
that's not her in the thing.
Well, obviously. No, but I'm sure, like, you know, like how they did with the fourth Harry Potter movie, I'm sure that, like, they had a diver out of frame. There was like, oh, he needs air? Okay. Yeah. There you go. But it's such a cool shot.
It
like
is.
I've always found underwater shots really cool.
They are so cool.
His hair is moving with the motion of the water, even his beard. It's so cool, man.
I know.
Underwater shots are so dope.
Yeah.
And yeah, I actually started to think, I was like, I think he's, because even Ashley was like, is he gonna end, like, kill himself too? I was like, I think so. And then then we get his little vision of Nina also drowning, and that's what inspires him.
It also could have been he needed to get his mom down there, and the only way to do that is if he was also sinking, right?
Yeah.
So you could go either way. He might not have ever wanted to kill himself, but I like the idea of him sort of wanting to die with his mom, right?
Because I thought once he got her into the deeper part of the lake, he was just going to kind of push her down. But then I was like, oh, he's going under too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's... And I agree with you, man. Lynn Ramsey needs to do more films.
I know.
I
know Ezra Miller they interviewed him after either the announcement or the premiere of You Were Never Really Here, and that's all he could talk about was, I can't believe it took her this long. Like, why is it so hard for a director of this caliber,
Yeah.
you know,
To
struggle so much with just making a movie. Like, it shouldn't be this hard.
Thank God that Amazon swooped in and was like, you want to make a movie? Here's
Let's
money.
go. Yeah.
And it's so crazy. I'm going to go off on just a little bit of a tangent.
Okay.
Because I just want to talk about how, like, it took a company as Amazon, who does a lot of streaming, to give Lynn the money to make this movie.
Yeah.
When, all traditional production companies can do is just bash streaming services like Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're not going to give her money, they will.
And Amazon had success before this with Manchester by the Sea.
Oh, yeah.
That was another Amazon original, which I love.
Dude, Casey Affleck, man.
Yeah.
Love that dude.
I mean, yeah. He's great. Sad flick.
Sad flick.
Yeah, he's sad flick.
Because he does all the sad movies.
Yeah. And he's always sad.
As Benny is all like, I'm Ben Affleck, I do what I want.
Yeah, and then Casey is Casey Sadfleck.
He's like, oh, this movie's sad? Sign me up.
But I don't know if you've seen Manchester by the Sea. It's the funniest sad movie I've ever seen.
I wanted to see it, and then I heard a bunch of controversy surrounding it.
Well,
and then,
it was him. It was Casey Affleck.
Because there was something about
abuse allegations and stuff like that, or harassment or assault allegations.
But nothing that stuck. Right?
I don't think so.
Because I don't think. Because he's married right now.
I don't know.
We're not talking about it. Right?
We're not talking about Manchester by the Sea, even though it's amazing.
Yeah. Future episode, maybe?
Sure, for sure.
Or you're just going to make me watch it one day.
I don't know. Either way.
Anyway. But yeah, man. I really dug it.
Yeah.
I really, like I said, it was one of those films, and I know we've talked about it, how the time, when I saw it was only an hour and a half, I was like, oh, okay, well, it didn't feel an hour and a half long. Mm-hmm. Because I had a lot of chores to do today before we recorded. And I was like, well, how much time do I have got left in this movie? Oh, I have 30 minutes left. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just finish it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, it goes fast because, number one, I was just so excited to see it anyway. Mm-hmm. And then once I realized how great it was, I was like, I don't want it to end. Right?
Yeah. But like I said, it doesn't feel like it's an hour and a half. And I guess it's a testament to Lynn Ramsey's world building. It feels bigger and longer than it is because... And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before. It is very realistic. My suspension of disbelief is just so suspended because this world feels real.
Yes. I know I've probably mentioned it before, but Roger Ebert has a great quote that's no good movie is ever long enough and no bad movie is ever short enough.
Yeah.
Right? Which of course, right?
Right.
He's also got some hilarious reviews. He has gotten it way wrong so many times.
Oh, for sure. As we've mentioned, critics don't know what the hell they're talking about.
No, even though Ebert's my favorite, I would say that he doesn't get it right all the time. No. We agree a lot, but we also disagree sometimes.
But R.I.P. to Robert. Yeah, he just has his interns now doing reviews.
He has his own, interview.
It's his own website now. Yeah, because if anyone didn't know, Roger Ebert is dead now.
R.I.P.
But yeah, man, it's.
I know this is a great movie, and I'm really glad you picked this one. I don't even remember what the other option was.
The Tribe.
Oh, The Tribe. That's a good one too.
Probably another maybe next season.
Next season for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I really dug it. I will probably have to go buy a copy.
No, for sure.
I'm glad you told me that it was released physically first before Amazon was like, all right, here you go for free. Yeah, man. Are you ready to wrap up?
Yes, sir. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Lynn Ramsey needs to make more movies.
Absolutely.
Because she has stuff before we need to talk about Kevin that I haven't seen yet. There's one that I have on my shelf, and I don't remember the name of it. And then there's Ratcatcher, which is a part of the Criterion Collection. And so just on DVD, it was part of the old Criterion. And so she's got a lot of cool stuff out there. Definitely, I'd recommend you watching anything with her name on it.
Absolutely. So. I 100% agree. This one wasn't as much as a bummer as we need to talk about Kevin. But I still
know,
loved
right?
it.
Shame.
You know, it's funny. The season started off very just in the dumps, and we've kind of just been like,
No, well, you've tried. I try to keep it somber, you know. And this one's not happy, so
I would say
that-
my only happier movies was like Hugo and
no,
Pleasantville.
Again, all your picks have been up and down. Mine, I've hopefully consistently stayed sad because that's my intention.
But for next week, I'll be kind of following that.
Yeah,
format.
what are we doing next week? Right?
So as I talked to you about last night, I gave you, as you've done to me, I gave you two options.
Yep.
Either one.
It was such a slam dunk, man. Like as soon as you said one, I was like, that one. It was easy.
Well, because I know with the other one, you're iffy about those directors.
It's hit or miss for me, but I do like that movie, so it's future. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Probably more than likely that'll be my first pick of season 6, if I'm being honest. But anyway, so next week is my final pick, before your final pick, and then our end of series. We're going to be talking about one of the first black and white film I had ever seen. This was the first one I ever saw, and I love it.
And
dearly.
we also mentioned it in our film noir episode.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah.
Yes.
But we didn't go into depth, so that's...
Yeah, but so more than likely I'm going to start going back to our very broad episodes and nitpicking future episodes so we can do, like I did with The Shining, so we can do a full breakdown. But anyway, next week we will be discussing Sunset Boulevard. Very excited to talk about it because...
For sure.
It's... For a film in the 1950s, right?
1950.
Awesome. It was very meta for its time.
Yeah, it is a showbiz movie also, which Hollywood loves showbiz movies. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of Oscar winners are showbiz movies.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. They're like, oh, hey, I do that, right? And so they're like, oh, you win. So
unless it's Moonlight.
I mean, the fact that Mank didn't win was very surprising because I thought Mank was going to win this year because it's a showbiz movie, and those automatically win, right?
Yeah.
But anyway.
But yeah, man, it's... My mom showed me the movie, and I wasn't really into it. I was like, I don't want to watch a silent or black and white movie, and it had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
It is so great, and of course as I got older, that's when I realized it was very meta for the time, that that they had this commentary, which we'll talk about, but
for sure.
It's man.
Yeah, okay. Sunset Boulevard. Next week. That's exciting.
So we hope everyone enjoyed You Were Never Really Here. And we will see you next week for Sunset Boulevard.